Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some fascinating research from Dr. Sudhendra G to uncover an ancient Indian knowledge system, one that literally shaped history in ways you have probably never imagined. So what on earth could possibly connect Steve Jobs, modern medicine, and a wonder of the world, like the Taj Mahal? The answer, it turns out, is a hidden thread of knowledge that traveled from ancient India right across the globe. And right now, we're going to follow that thread together. All right, so our journey kicks off with a really old system from the ancient Dravidians called Aagamas. Now, this wasn't just about memorizing facts. No, this was way deeper. It was about studying the very nature of knowledge itself. The Aagamas system had this beautiful way of explaining it. The idea is, your mother is a verifiable truth. You know who she is through logic. But your father, well, that's based on faith. You believe who your mother tells you he is. It's a fantastic analogy for two different ways of knowing. This whole idea of studying knowledge itself has a name. It's called epistemology. And for the Agama system, this was the bedrock, splitting everything they learned into two big, distinct branches. And those two paths couldn't be more different. On one side, you've got Smrithi. This is all about faith, about experience, knowledge you accept without question. But on the other side, you've got Siddhantam. And this one, it demands proof, logic, and what we'd call science. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's ancient history. But get this, the insights from Agamas on just how to think, how to make decisions, are so powerful that even modern tech titans, we're talking Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, reportedly traveled to India to study them. Why? To figure out how to build their global empires. Okay, so let's zoom in on that second path, Siddhantam, the one that's all about logic and proof. You know, what we just call science today. And when I say science, I mean this stuff was incredibly advanced. Seriously, we're talking about texts written over 3,000 years ago that were laying out the foundations for super complex medicine and even surgery. And this wasn't just dusty old books on a shelf. The Sushruta Samhita? That's what gave us Ayurveda, a system that people still use all over the world today. And the Charaka Samhita basically invented the idea of a pharmacy. The author, Charaka, was literally the world's first pharmacist, figuring out how to use plants and herbs to make actual effective medicines. So, the big question is, did it work? How effective was all this ancient medical science? The answer? Well, it's pretty mind-blowing. 102 years. Yeah, you heard that right. According to historical records from the era when these systems were flourishing, the average life expectancy in India was 102. This chart really puts it all into perspective, and it tells a pretty wild story. You had travelers and historians like Albioni all confirming this incredibly high lifespan. But then, tragically, look what happened. It crashed, down to just 22 years by the 1920s, before it started to slowly climb back up to where we are today. You can imagine the kind of reputation this created, right? The power of these medical Siddhantams became legendary. It started this belief, a belief that's actually still around, that if you made a pilgrimage to India's Kumbh Mela festival, you could be cured of anything, even diseases no one else could fix. Now here's where the story gets even bigger. This amazing body of knowledge, it didn't just stay in India. It started to travel. And wherever it went, man, it sparked a revolution. So how did it happen? How did this ancient Indian knowledge travel and end up changing the entire world? Well, the story of that journey takes us from India all the way to Baghdad and right into the middle of one of the most brilliant periods in all of human history. So picture this, between 800 and 1400 AD, you have the Islamic Golden Age. It was this incredible explosion of science and culture. And right at the heart of it all was the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. This place was a magnet for the world's greatest minds, and it was founded by Caliph Harun al-Rashid, specifically because he was so impressed with the knowledge systems he saw coming out of India. In fact, it wasn't just a vague inspiration.
The main driving force, especially in the beginning, was the Aryabhattiyam Siddantham, Indian scientific texts all about mathematics. That's what really kicked off this new age of discovery. But it wasn't only about numbers. Indian architectural ideas from the Shilpa Shastra also made that journey to Baghdad. Specifically, this incredible engineering trick they used to build the inner sanctum of temples, the Garbhagruha, with a huge open space and no pillars holding it up. And that design, that engineering marvel from ancient South Indian temples, that is what directly inspired the iconic dome we see in Islamic architecture. Just think about that for a second. The engineering behind the breathtaking dome of the Taj Mahal has its roots in an ancient Dravidian temple. It's an amazing connection.
But the story isn't over. When the House of Wisdom was eventually destroyed, its scholars fled. They scattered across the world, carrying all of this combined knowledge with them, and that led to one final, unbelievable breakthrough. Some of these scholars, looking for a safe place to land, ended up traveling to a region that had been a major trading partner for centuries, the coast of Kerala, back in India. And this created a whole new melting pot of ideas. And it was there that a genius mathematician and astronomer named Madhava took all these concepts and, well, he did something revolutionary. He developed a new Siddantham that introduced the world for the very first time to the core ideas of differentiation and integration.
And that brings us to the really mind-blowing punchline of this whole story. Modern calculus? It wasn't born in Europe with Newton or Leibniz. Its birthplace, centuries earlier, was a small town in Kerala, India. This incredible journey of knowledge from India to Baghdad and then looping back again, it just makes you wonder, right? What other amazing chapters of our own shared history are just out there, waiting for us to rediscover them?